What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 for My Team Career Mode Season 1, round number 12, the Qatar Grand Prix. Now, yes, I am still sick. I sound more sick than I did in the last video, but yeah, I really wanted to get this video uploaded. I've taken some cold and flu medicine, so I don't sound quite as bad, and I'm hoping I will at least be able to get through this video so that we can get it uploaded on time. Changed both of our secondary sponsors going into this race weekend because they both ran out, so we've actually got two new sponsors. We are also going to put some bits and bobs on the car. They're not going to come through until the United States Grand Prix next time around, and we're actually going to rush this one just to see if we can get this one, because that one wasn't going to end up coming until after the US Grand Prix, so we at least give it a go with rushing it. Looking at R&D, Ferrari have now moved to the top of R&D. They're now the quickest car on the grid, and then it's very, very close between Red Bull, Mercedes, and Aston Martin. We've kind of plateaued a little bit here and kind of find ourselves in the middle of that top four and the bottom cars behind us, and we're actually going to take some grid penalties for this race weekend because we've got, I believe, the internal combustion engine and the control electronics, I believe it is, or is it the I can't quite, it might be the other one, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, we basically have to take some grid penalties at some point, and they're already pretty high, so we would be running fairly worn parts if we didn't go ahead and change those here. So we're going to have a grid penalty, but this is a sprint weekend, so wherever we qualify, we will start the sprint race, and then we're going to have to work our way back up from probably the back of the grid. It's going to be a 15 place grid penalty for the race, so if we do better than 7th in qualifying, or I guess finish better than 7th in the sprint race, we won't be right at the back of the grid, so we'll have to see how we go there. Q1 comes and goes. We end up P9, as you can see there, flashing up 15 place grid penalty. Doohan is out in Q1, which is not good to see here. Not a good result from him in our second car, so unfortunately he's made it into Q2 every other race so far. Granted, this is only his 4th race in our team and in F1 as a whole, so yeah, it is what it is. He's got a sprint race to see if he can work his way higher up. Q2, and as you can see, we're very quick through the middle sector. We're following one of the Aston Martins that is up ahead of us, and we've had a very good start to this lap. This is a really fun track to drive. This is my first time driving the Qatar circuit, the Losail circuit I think it's called, and it's a really fun track to drive on. Just so flowing, just a really fun track. And in the end, we have a pretty damn good time with that purple middle sector, and we're gonna go P1 for Q2. So it was a mega lap here. Both Aston Martins make it through as well, which is a bit of a surprise with Lance Stroll at least. I guess that Aston Martin has now closed up to that top group, but yeah, for Stroll to actually get into Q3, it might even be the first time he's done it this season. I'm not sure, but yeah, he is in Q3 this time around. And as we get onto our Q3 lap time, we're a little bit down through a couple of corners in this first sector, but we get a better exit out of that next corner, and we are already almost a tenth of a second up as we head into this next right-hander. Little bit of a lift off around the next one. This is just such a flowing track. You've got big braking zones, but then you've also got very quick sections where most of the time it's a lift off. Some of them are braking as well, so you're braking into this corner here, which is a very different corner there. You've got to kind of ride the curve through that. It is then not quite flat through that corner, a bit more on the brakes for this one. Then it's quite a quick run up to the quickest part of the track. That isn't just a straight. As we head through the right here, it is pretty much flat through there. It's pretty much flat through there as well, and then it's a lift off and a downshift through the next corner as we head into this one on the brakes, but it is a very quick corner there. Just a bit of a dab on the brakes as we head round, and then to the final corner, hard on the brakes, right up on the curve there and to the outside, and it's a big long run to the line because the start finish line is way down the end of the straight, and we hit the line, and it's a pretty decent lap. It's P7 in the end for us, so that's a decent starting position for the race. If we can get any higher than that, we won't be starting right at the back for the main Grand Prix. So P7 for the sprint. George Russell on pole position. He's wanting to fight back for the Climb Championship, so let's get into it.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Davies, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Gasly, Magnussen, Ocon, Bottas, Albon, Zhou, Oscar Piastri, Doohan, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Sargent, and Nick de Vries. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Alright, it is sprint time in Qatar, our first race at the Qatar Grand Prix. 5 red lights are off and away we go. It is a decent enough start for us. A bit of a slow one from Leclerc there on the right. Hamilton already looking at a move on him, and Max Verstappen up ahead. It's a great start for Hamilton. We are actually coming under fire from Alonso a little bit through turn 1. He's just right there on our inside, so it's actually not been the best start for us. Usually we make up positions on the start. This time we're actually just fighting to keep our position, but we just about managed to fend off Alonso, who has gotten ahead of Lando and Norris. We're pretty much all on the soft tyres here. I think there may be a couple on the mediums. From what I remember, I think the 2 Alpines and the 2 Alfa Romeos are on medium compound tyres. Everybody else is on soft compound tyres for this entire 10-lap sprint race. And we're starting to now pull away from the cars behind a little bit. Alonso's following us through, but Norris doesn't quite have the pace. He might actually have an issue because he's really fallen back here as we just continue on. Leclerc looking to see if he can get back ahead of Hamilton. Hamilton got past Leclerc, didn't manage to get past Verstappen in the end, so he's still behind the Red Bull driver. It looks like Sainz has actually taken the lead of the race from Russell having the pole position in qualifying, so that's good for Sainz, and I mean it's also good for Leclerc because Russell is his biggest championship rival, and yeah, Leclerc's all the way down here in P6, so that's not quite where he would want to be as we get around the final corner. And I believe Lando Norris is into the pits. He has got front wing damage. He must have had a bit of contact at the start of the race, so that's a terrible start to this weekend for Lando. As now we have a look at a move with one of the Hasses. Haas still yet to score points in this game yet in this season, and I think that is Kevin Magnussen gets up the inside of one of the Aston Martins. That's good from him. There's now the battle going on in front of us as Leclerc is trying to get past Hamilton. They go side by side through this section here. We're just looking in the background, not really anywhere to go. It looks like Leclerc has managed to get that position, and we're just going to sniff around in the background, see if anything can happen here, because this is lap number 5 going on to lap number 6. DRS is now enabled, so although Leclerc has gotten past Hamilton at this point, he's now going to be susceptible down the main front straight. As Hamilton has DRS, we have DRS. Hamilton now goes to the outside. Leclerc defends to the inside, and he's going to try and get past, and he sure enough gets back past Lewis Hamilton, back ahead of Leclerc. This could be big for the championship for Hamilton's teammate, as this battle continues on, but actually it's now Hamilton going for a move on Max Verstappen, I believe it is, and we are right behind here as this is all going on. There's yellow flags up ahead of us. I think that's because one of the AlphaTauris is out of the race. They're pulled up on the left. We make a very opportunistic move around the outside of Leclerc, and now Verstappen, he really seems to be struggling here. I don't know what it is, but he's really struggling, so we're going to go for a move into the final corner here, just push our way to the inside, leave him out to dry, and that actually lets Leclerc get through as well. We still have DRS, so we can try and defend from these guys, and Verstappen really is falling back here as Leclerc's past, Alonso's past, and Alonso's trying to get past Leclerc as well. It's a mega run down the main straight for Fernando Alonso, and is he going to do it? I think they're still side by side, but no, Alonso's gotten ahead of Charles Leclerc. That is a great opportunistic moment for him. He was looking like he was falling back a bit, but has now made up positions as we head around turn 1. There is yellow flags up ahead. That's George Russell spun sideways out of turn 1. What has happened here? We have a look, Russell right on the back of Carlos Sainz, hounding him through turn 1 to try and take the race lead, but he just puts too much power around, spins around turn 1. He's then clattered Perez as well. He's made contact with Perez around that corner. I don't know if that's given Perez some damage. I'm not really sure, but yeah, this is it here. I think just a bit of dirty air and a bit too much power, and he bangs into Perez here. We're going to see it from Sergio Perez's point of view as well. We just see Russell slide around there, Perez gets out of the way, but then Russell kind of reverses back or rolls back into him. So that's very unfortunate, and although I don't think Perez has damage, there's now yellow flags up ahead because Sergio Perez is retiring from the session with a mechanical failure. Engine goes up in smoke. We have to absolutely dive out of the way. That is near colossal damage. That is near death for us in this sprint race. We had to absolutely slam on the brakes. First of all, to not hit Hamilton, and then to not hit Perez as well. That was ridiculous stuff here. We look at it from Hamilton's point of view. He also had to slam on the brakes and is so close to hitting the rear of Perez. This is from us in slow motion. Look, we steer away from Hamilton and then kind of have to steer away from Perez as well. That could have been very nasty, but thankfully we get away with it without any damage. Now Charles Leclerc trying to get back past Fernando Alonso. He's going round the outside of turn 1, and the superior grip in that Ferrari means that he does get back up into I believe it's P4, because we're now in a podium position for the sprint race. Not a proper podium because it's only a sprint, but in the end it's going to be P3 for us, which is great for the main race tomorrow, because with our 15 position grid penalty, it means that we're not going to be way down the back of the order. So it's a P3 finish for the sprint for us. Definitely good. We had good pace today, and we were just very opportunistic, very lucky with everything that was happening ahead of us. And yeah, quite a chaotic last couple of laps there. Sainz gets another sprint race win, so it's 2 sprint wins for Sainz. He's still yet to win a main Grand Prix, but it's a very good job from him. Unfortunately, he's all the way down in P15. So yeah, it's going to be different for the race. Let's see what's in store for us.
Welcome back to Qatar and the Lusail International Circuit. There's a long history of two-wheeled motorsport action here, but in 2021, Lewis Hamilton won out as part of an epic battle that year with Max Verstappen. But who will win out tonight? We're back here in Lusail for a track that's 3.34 miles long. There are 16 turns around its unique 3-pronged shape and just a single DRS zone out of turn 16. It's fast and it's flowing, and there's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS down the long straight and into turn 1. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Gasly, Stroll, Magnussen, Albon, Ocon, Bottas, Zhou, Hulkenberg, Doohan, Tsunoda, Sargent, Russell, Davies, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Perez, and Nick de Vries. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. It's just about time to go down to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
Alright, so here we go. We're starting I think it's P17 or P18 on the grid for the Qatar Grand Prix. Lights are out. It's P18 and away we go. We've got Russell alongside us actually because of his issues. He's all the way down there. We're starting on soft compound tyres. We've got a pretty good initial start. Logan Sargent though has had a blistering start. He's side by side with my teammate up ahead for what I guess is P15, P14. And it looks like he's gone ahead. We're side by side with Yuki Tsunoda through this whole first few corners here. He's still right there alongside us, trying to just shake him here, because we are in a quicker car than that AlphaTauri. Definitely, the AlphaTauri is the worst car on the grid on R&D, but we find ourselves past Sonoda, and now with our teammate Jack Doohan ahead of us as we head through probably the tightest corner on the lap, on the track. Big hairpin as we now head into the next sector. We're just kind of having to stay in line here. Logan Sargent, though, has had a really good start there, up into P14, and I think his teammate's doing a decent job as well, just outside of the points, maybe just in the points actually, within the top 10. As we continue on, not really a whole lot we can do through this very twisty section here when everybody's so close to each other. We just kind of have to sit back and wait for a move. We don't want to make a crazy move on our teammate either, although I know we have much more pace than him. I don't want to absolutely send it on him and, you know, have an issue, have a crash with him. That would be the worst thing possible. So as we go around the final corner for our first lap of this main Grand Prix, we just have to stay behind, use a bit of ERS, and actually looks like Doohan's gone for a move on Logan Sargent up ahead. He's going to try and go round the outside into turn 1. Let's just see up ahead if he can get this move done. I think he might just about. Yes, he does. He gets the move done. We have a little look, but we can't quite do it. Another little look, but no, Sargent just blocks that one off for us. We're going to keep trying to get this move done as quick as we can, though. Very late on the brakes, and a bit too late. Maybe the door gets slammed shut in my face by Logan Sargent, and I think quite rightfully that was a bit too late for me, as now we're actually coming under fire from Norris, who's behind us here trying to go for a move into the final corner, but we're not going to worry about that too much, as we now just get right up behind the Williams driver. We've broken away from Lando, and as we go to the outside for turn 1, we're going to try and do just what our teammate did to this driver on the previous lap or so, and we get the move done just as Doohan also gets a move done on Zhou Guanyu. So he's trying to put a car between us, which is good. It's good for us. I don't have to fight with my teammate yet, and it's meaning we're both moving higher up the grid, as we have Charles Leclerc fighting with Fernando Alonso here. He started P3 on the grid, did not quite have the best start, fell behind Alonso. Alonso was sitting in P3, but Leclerc, after 3 laps, has gotten himself back up into that podium position and will leave Alonso behind. We once again have Zhou Guanyu and the Alfa Romeo ahead of us, and we're going to try and go for a move into the very fast right-hander. I have the confidence in the car, and we make a very nice move. Really, really fun making a move through that corner. Yeah, just really fun. Great move done there. As there's a battle up ahead with a Haas and the Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas. I believe the Haas is Nico Hülkenberg, and these guys are going to be side by side through the first couple of corners here. We're just there in the background with behind my teammate, as these guys still just creating a little bit of a roadblock here. You can see Doohan is trying to have a little look around, but he just can't quite do anything at the moment. But I think Hülkenberg has gotten ahead of Bottas, and now I think Doohan might be having a look at a move as well. Not quite. Now he is into the fast section where we got past Bottas's teammate. Doohan is still side by side with Bottas, but gets the move done, and then we have a very opportunistic move into the next quick corner. We're just following our teammate through here, but there's going to come a time, and that time's going to come right now, where our teammate's the car ahead of us. He doesn't have anyone close enough in front of him for DRS, so we're just going to try and power past our teammate. He goes a little bit more defensive than I was hoping he would, as there's a battle going on behind us between Norris and the 2 Alfa Romeos, but we make a fairly easy move up the inside of our teammate and can carry our way on through the grid. As now Charles Leclerc got past Alonso, he's now having a look at Lewis Hamilton, who sits P2, and Leclerc's going to try and go round the outside of Hamilton, and it is a beautiful round the outside move for the Monegasque driver to make the race a Ferrari 1-2. Sainz still leads the way from now Leclerc in second, and Hamilton sits in third. We now have Hülkenberg, the car in front of us, not for very long, as we power past him down the straight into turn 1, and we're just going to start picking off cars lap by lap by lap. We have the pace over these guys for sure, so sure enough, next lap around, once again down the main straight with DRS. We know how quick our car is in a straight line, and we also once again power past the Williams of Alex Albon. That is a very quick car, the Williams, but with DRS our car is quicker. I think even just generally our car is quicker. Max Verstappen, he's not having the best race in the world, to be honest, and as he heads around this section here, it looks like he has an issue. He's pulling to the side there. He's been overtaken by Fernando Alonso, and this is Max Verstappen definitely with an issue here, but he's not retiring. No smoke coming out of the back of the car. He's not retiring. He's just, for some reason, having a lot of issues here, and he's actually going to come into the pits this lap and change onto a set of hard compound tyres from the mediums, I think he started on. I don't think he started on the softs, so weird for Verstappen there, coming into the pits with an issue and changing tyres. Very, very strange. Haven't seen that one before in this game. As we make a move on one of the Alpines of, I believe it is Esteban Ocon, we get that position done on Ocon, even though he had DRS from the cars up ahead. Stroll, the next one up ahead, a car that is probably technically quicker than us, but Stroll just doesn't have the pace in that Aston Martin compared to his teammate. And with DRS, even though he has DRS, we're going to use a lot of VRS. He tries to fight it back as we head into turn 1. He's still there on the outside, but in the end, we squeeze him out of room. And now Kevin Magnussen is the car ahead of us in P6 right now. Magnussen looking to score his first points of the season and has his first points as well. Unfortunately for him, we're going to push him back one more position here, but he's still going to be well in the points at the moment. So hopefully Haas can actually score points here, because there's been so many times in these recent races they've been in the points and they've had an issue and they've dropped out of them. Maybe this time they can actually get those well needed points. As we head into the pits here for our one and only pit stop, it's another great pit stop by the team. I don't know when it's going to be that we get a bad pit stop, because it hasn't happened this whole career mode. Every pit stop we've had has been really good, so I'm sure it's inevitable to happen, probably when we least want it to. Russell's now the car ahead of us. He's on soft tyres, and we actually get caught out by him, bump him a little bit into that corner. We then bump him a little bit again into the next corner, because he must be on worn soft tyres here, because he is really, really slow. And we know how quick Russell is. This is not a good race for him when he's fighting Leclerc and Verstappen in the championship. Verstappen may not be the biggest issue for him today, but Leclerc definitely is, and he is currently leading the championship. As we go round the outside of that corner that we got off the inside of Zhou earlier on in the race, it's around the outside move. I just completely committed to it, and we got the move done. That was a very exciting move, very on the edge there. As now Pierre Gasly in the Alpine is the car ahead of us. I think we're a bit too far back, but in the end, I'm like, you know what? We're going to go for it. We've got the ERS, we've got the DRS, we've got the slipstream. We're going to be side by side through turn 1, but we have the better grip and the inside line, and we will get past Gasly. Now Max Verstappen's the next car ahead of us, and yeah, his car doesn't have the issue that it had when he came into the pits. He is actually able to race again now, but he still definitely has an issue, because he just doesn't have the pace here, and we get past him fairly easily. He's also on the hard compound tyres, so we have a tyre advantage on him as well, but this just shows how much of an issue Verstappen's having, because now Pierre Gasly manages to very easily get past him on the main straight with DRS. Verstappen's just falling further down the order. Sergio Perez, on the other hand, is doing the opposite thing. He's making his way through the order. After starting on the back row, thanks to a grid penalty and the retirement in the sprint race, the mechanical failure, he's making his way through the order, and I think he's just got up into the points, passing Alexander Albon in the Williams, so knocking the Williams out of the points. 2 laps to go, and Verstappen is in again. He was actually managing to stay with Gasly, but he's coming in again off the hard compound tyres, and he's going on to another set of mediums. So I don't know what's going on for Verstappen here. Must have a big issue. Obviously doesn't have any soft tyres left to use, but I don't even know why he would need to come in 2 laps from the end of the race on hard compound tyres. Surely he could just hang it out, finish in the points, whereas now he's not going to be in the points anymore. This is the battle at the end of the points though. Perez just gets ahead of, I think it's Kevin Magnussen, to move up into P8. Magnussen is sitting P9, and not only that, but Hulkenberg is sitting P10. So this could be, and this is the last lap of the Grand Prix, it's looking like a double points finish for Haas for their first points of the season at the front though, and it's actually been a pretty dominant performance by this man, Carlos Sainz. We had Hamilton win his first race of the season last time out, and it's going to be Sainz winning his first proper Grand Prix of the season. He's won 2 sprint races, but this will be his first feature race win of the season, his second feature race win of all time. Carlos Sainz wins the Qatar Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc makes it a Ferrari 1-2, and Hamilton comes home in 3rd for Mercedes. We are going to end up up in P5 in the end, which I think is a magnificent performance considering where we started this race. We really had a lot of pace, but nothing really, once I got past Verstappen and Gasly, nothing really happened. I was just catching Alonso up ahead, but nothing else really happened. It was a I think that's a pretty damn good recovery drive. This is such a fun track to drive on. Really enjoyed this. Not the most exciting race. The sprint race was pretty exciting though. But yeah, that is it for our first Qatar Grand Prix on F1 23.
So another excellent win from Ferrari. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So Carlos Sainz wins his first race of the season, and it's a Ferrari 1-2. That is big for the team, especially for the Constructors' Championship. And you might think that, well, Sainz isn't really in with a chance of the Drivers' Championship. Maybe he should have let Leclerc go, but I don't think that's the case. Sainz definitely had the measure on his teammate this time around, and Hamilton was closer to Leclerc than Leclerc was to Sainz in the end. So yeah, it's just kind of what they had to do. But for Leclerc to finish P2 and so far ahead of all his rivals in the championship, because I think it's fair to say that the championship is between Leclerc, Russell and Verstappen, because Leclerc's the only one who finishes in the points. Like I said, it's a double points finish for Haas, but George Russell is down in, what is that, P13, P14, and Verstappen P15, so it is no points for both of those guys, which means that Charles Leclerc takes now a rather healthy lead of, I think, about 29 points of this championship ahead of George Russell, and then Max Verstappen a bit further adrift from that. So this is opening up to be very good for Charles Leclerc here. And we are still there in 7th place. I don't think we're going to get any higher than that, but 7th place, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll be happy if we can finish there at the end of the season. Haas, now they're the only drivers not to score points now are Zhou Guanyu, Nick De Vries and Logan Sargent, the only 3 drivers to not score any points for the championship. And in the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari now take over the lead of the Constructors' Championship over Mercedes thanks to that 1-2 finish and Russell not scoring any points. Mercedes 2nd, Red Bull 3rd. We're still there in 4th. It's still a very tight battle between us and Aston Martin. I think we ended up having level points. Maybe Aston Martin got a couple more points thanks to Stroll, but me and Alonso finished on level points. We both got the same amount of points from this whole weekend. And yeah, every team now has scored points, so that is pretty awesome to see. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.